experience. From the Yonkers Statesman, October 2nd, 1916. Headline: Made attempts to run trolley cars. Considerable rioting on city streets yesterday afternoon and 18 were arrested. The cars were badly battered up. Thousands of people lined the sidewalks and the police reserves were called out. The effort to run cars was abandoned shortly before 11 o'clock today. Despite the existence of a city ordinance prohibiting operation of streetcars by men without at least 15 days local experience, the Yonkers Railroad Company attempted to resume service yesterday, evading this ordinance by the employment of starters and inspectors. The rank of starter and inspector is higher than that of motorman and conductor, and therefore the employment of the former to operate cars does not constitute a violation of the ordinance in question. Yesterday's attempt resulted in the disabling of 2 cars, the destruction of several $100s worth of building material by a mob of thousands of people, and the smashing of windows in apartment houses on South Broadway by flying missiles. 18 men were arrested, only 4 of them being strikers, charged with disorderly conduct. The Teamsters of the city do not work on Sunday and therefore could not aid the striker sympathizers by loading their wagons with paving blocks, crossing the tracks, and dumping the contents on the railroad's right-of-way. This procedure was followed in the strike of 1907. General Manager Leslie Sutherland called the 15 non-union strikers and inspectors, who had flatly refused to join the strikers, to the car barns shortly after 10 o'clock yesterday morning to vote as to whether or not any of them cared to take the risk of running the cars. A vote of 10 to 5 decided the question in favor of making the attempt. No intimation of the proposed scheme had reached the strikers, who were consequently totally unprepared. The first car, manned by starter Henry Frisbeck and 4 policemen from the 1st Precinct Station, with both vestibules screened with wire as a protection against flying missiles, pulled out of the barns at the foot of Main Street at 11:30 a.m., bound for Van Cortlandt Park. It proceeded as far as Getty Square, where a mob of 1,000 people had collected. Hoots, yells, and shower of bottles, stones, and bricks greeted the car as it tried to swing into South Broadway. Later, Frisbeck has handed in his resignation to the Yonkers Railroad Company. "It's too big a risk," he told the Statesman reporter, "and I have my family to think of. I've done my part, though," unquote. Though policemen openly threatened the crowd with their nightsticks, it sullenly refused to budge. The air was thick with bricks, bottles, stones, or anything else the disorderly ones in the crowd could lay their hands on. A group of 6 or 7 men entered a nearby bake shop and bought 24 cream puffs, which they proceeded to distribute among the crowd. But one of these delectable missiles, however, found its way to the stalled trolley, the person who threw it being promptly arrested. Prudence evidently forbade another shot of this character, for the cream puffs were thrown into the gutter. Headline: Schools reopened. The public schools of Yonkers opened this morning after a postponement to 3 weeks owing to the prevalence of infantile paralysis. Headline: Many false claims. Never before in the history of presidential campaigns in America has it been necessary to subject every statement of fact to scrutiny. In the past, there were differences as to the validity of conclusions, but everybody could safely accept as reliable all statements as to easily ascertainable facts when they emanated from men speaking or writing under the authority of the party national committees. No more. And that's the news from Yonkers 100 years ago.